A rapper born into fame as the son of a big-name actress gets snatched off the streets, gets released, then gets gunned down, and the streets say the hit was greenlit by someone locked up in a Swedish prison cell. In another country, bullets are flying outside a studio in Milan. This is what the European drill scene looks like.
In the ends, loyalty's rare and betrayal bleeds. Stabbings, shootings, real stories, real pain. This is Ends Unshanked, where the silence breaks.
It's raw, it's ruthless. Now let me be clear, I'm not including the UK in this. 2 reasons. First, Brexit. Technically, Britain stepped out of Europe. And let's not pretend like we've ever been that tight with the rest of the continent anyway. France is the closest neighbor, and even that's been beef for centuries. 700 years and counting. Second, UK drill. That's basically New York drill with more machetes. We already know the UK scene inside out. What's less talked about is what's happening across Europe. Drill has spread way past Chicago. It's echoing through Stockholm. It's sliding down to Naples. Cold winters in Sweden. Sunny gunfights in Italy. And if you watch my earlier video on Sweden, you'll know this place isn't what you think. It's not just flat-pack furniture and clean streets. Sweden's become a battleground. Gunshots, gang wars, and even bomb blasts linked to turf beefs. And here's the wild part. The gangs are small, way smaller than what we see in the UK or the US, but they hit way harder. Some of their moves feel straight out of the Northern Ireland troubles, mortars, guerrilla hits. The kind of violence where a royal gets blown up on a fishing trip. Rap and street life, they're practically married now. Whether it's real or just trolling for clicks, the image sticks. Same goes for Europe. Let's talk Einar. I mentioned him briefly before. At first, he didn't make sense. He wasn't broke. He wasn't from struggle. His mum's a famous actress. He popped off musically in 2019. But almost immediately, he linked up with people he had no business around. Swedish police say those links rubbed the wrong people the wrong way, mainly a gang called the Varby Network. And once you upset a crew like that, you're marked. We don't know exactly who he was running with, but here's what we do know. It's the same pattern seen everywhere. You align yourself with one gang, knowingly or not, and now the rival gang sees you as one of them, even if you're just in the background of a video. Even if you just took a photo, doesn't matter. They don't know you. All they know is you move with the enemy, which means you might be the next threat. You might help set them up, and when they start feeling like that, they send a message. That message came loud in Einar got kidnapped. They extorted him. Then they let him go. But here's the mistake. He didn't clock 2 major things. Firstly, the crew that snatched him, they got caught, put on trial. Now the feds were looking at him to talk. And secondly, the Varby Network, they were still out there, and they already knew where to find him. Even with money to move far away, Einar stayed put, stayed in Stockholm. Then just a few weeks before he died, he dropped a track called Danza. And in that track, people think he dissed the same crew that kidnapped him. Direct 2 rappers, Yasin and Havel, got arrested as part of that kidnapping case. That's what sparked theories that they might have had a hand in what happened next. All of it's still alleged. As of 2025, no one's been convicted. The case is still but here's the twist. Einar said he didn't want to testify. He made that clear. Still, Swedish police could have come back anytime asking for more info about the Varby Network. And maybe that was enough for someone to feel like they had to shut him up for good. Plenty rappers brag about getting things handled from inside a jail cell. That's nothing new. It's a move more known in mafia circles. But drill's got its own stories now. And if there's one person in this scene who might have actually pulled that off, allegedly, it's King Von. If you've ever heard Charleston White talk about Von, then you've probably heard this line before. Von only beat that murder case, got out in 2017, and started his rise with Lil Durk because witnesses had been killed. Now that bit's never been confirmed, but Von came from a place called Killer Ward before he ever linked with All Block. The case that kept him locked during the early wave of drill was deadly, a murder and 2 shootings at a birthday party. Von had a tight friend named Boss CJ, also from Killer Ward. A lot of people believe CJ gave a statement to police that placed Von at the scene. His name doesn't show up in official paperwork, but the paperwork does say the person who spoke to police was celebrating his birthday, CJ's birthday matched the timeline, and even though this witness never came out and said Van fired the shots, what really worked in Van's favor was his co-defendant. That guy agreed to testify against him, but then backed out after already admitting he was there. If anything, police already thought Van was the shooter and just needed someone to confirm it. Either way, once stuff like this gets filed, it leaks. People start connecting dots, and a few months before Van's trial even began, CJ got killed on the north side of Chicago. Somebody dropped his location. That was it. And of course, Van being Van rapped about it. He said it in songs, a witness being killed, and even sending a hit from his cell. Back in Sweden though, things were heating up. The crew that allegedly kidnapped Ina were all sentenced just a few months before he was killed. Their time inside wasn't long. Most got less than a year, but the bigger case was about the Varby network. Not because of any snitch. This time, it was encrypted messages. One former Swedish footballer even got 11 years for helping set the whole thing up. He was part of the kidnapping and was involved in pricing a contract killing, possibly the one that ended Ina's life. Another guy seen as a leader in the crew got 17 years. In total, 24 members were locked up for past crimes. That one kidnapping almost collapsed the entire organization. At that point, Ina should have left Sweden, period, before the trial was even done. But then came 2023, Hevel came out of jail and then dropped a song called Southside. That track poured fuel on the fire. People started to believe he actually watched Ina get killed on FaceTime. Now that might sound mad, but if you know how prison works, it's really not. Guards sneaking in iPhones happens in every country, and in that song Hevel says someone started a war with the wrong place, and after a guard gave him an iPhone, he watched the shooter pull out his gun and shoot someone. And to be honest, it checks out. There was another rapper in Sweden, Gaburo, who literally got chased down by a man filming it all. Still, no one's been charged for Ina's death. No arrests, no justice. The streets just used him, and when he was gone, no one even tried to ride out for him. It's a sad story, one that could have gone different if he just stepped away. Meanwhile, in Milan, Italy, Shiva was rising. Real name Andrea Origiani, a drill rapper with real fame, now sitting in prison, got 6.5 years for attempted murder. Built a massive following in it, but in 2024 everything caught up to him. The beef between his squad, Ovis Santana and another Milan crew, led by Rondo de Sousa. You might have seen Rondo on Vice, noisy interview Proper Brash. He claims he made Italian drill. His camp's called 7Z. Rondo's people, like Baby Gang, are banned from performing in multiple cities. Baby Gang even got banned from a whole city in northern Italy. Now 7Z were never officially tied to the violence, but the two MMA fighters who waited outside Shiva's studio. Word is, they were rolling with Rondo's side. It's the usual drill storyline. They were friends once, made music together. Then it all turned. One day in July 2023, Shiva pulls up to his own studio. Milano Ovis Santana HQ, far west Milan. His driver parks up the black Range Rover. As Shiva steps out, two men jump him. He's wearing brass knuckles. They still managed to crack his jaw, but Shiva wasn't done. He went back, grabbed an illegal strap from a security guard he knew, and started shooting. Hit both of them in the leg. Now if this was Chicago, it might have been seen as self-defense. But Italy doesn't run with mutual combat laws. The gun was illegal, and prosecutors said his gang had a bag full of ammo and a silencer on site. So instead of assault, they gave him attempted murder. And yet even with all that, he got way less time than someone would have caught for the same thing in America. Let's take it over to France now. Their drill scene's been active for a minute, but really, it's just the sound of deep-rooted problems the country's been dealing with for over a century. You've got coursing mafias running parts of it, North African street crews moving the bulk of the drugs, and even the Ndrangheta, one of the world's deadliest mobs stretching their influence from Sicily all the way to Paris. Now here's where it gets heavy. MHD, he was born in Vendée, a quiet part of La Rochelle-Signé. His story had all the makings of a fairy tale until it flipped into a cautionary tale. This was a guy who went from dropping Afro trap freestyles online to being personally invited to the Élysée Palace, that's the French president's residence, to shake hands with foreign leaders. But today he's behind bars for murder. Before any of the fame, MHD was working normal shifts, first as a pizza boy, then he got a waiting job in one of the wealthiest parts of Paris. Locals call it Luxembourg, not the country, but the part of the city near the iconic palace where French senators meet. In 2015, he posted some freestyles online and went viral. By 2016, his first project dropped and did crazy numbers, over 200,000 sold. Brands came calling. Puma locked him in. He even got cast in a movie. Crazy twist though, in the film, he plays a teen accused of murder, and in real life, he'd end up in court for the same charge. In 2017, while he was still rising, he was invited to dine with the president of Guinea. It looked like nothing could stop him. But in 2018, the streets caught up. Now if you know Paris, you know it's split into districts. One night in July, a massive fight broke out between two rival gangs, the 10th and the 19th. MHD grew up in the 19th. No one knows exactly how it started, but one thing was clear, it was gang related, and witnesses put MHD's car right there at the scene. He'd never had any legal issues before, but the case was serious. A 23-year-old from the 10th was stabbed to death. It was brutal. Because of that, MHD was denied bail. At first, police had no suspects. For months, they couldn't pin it on anyone. But in September that same year, MHD announced he was done with music, retiring, and people knew something was coming. In January 2019, it did. Police arrested him and 8 others. They sat inside for 4 years waiting on trial. Eventually, 6 were convicted, MHD included. 3 others walked free. Even though he probably wasn't the one holding the knife, MHD was hit with a 12-year sentence. The others got between 10 and 18 years, and even though his car was later found torched in a car park, footage had already placed it at the scene the night it all went down. This was a man who, with just 2 albums, made himself a household name. Puma deal, movie role, sitting down at presidential dinners, but in the end it was the streets that pulled him back in. Maybe he couldn't cut ties with the people he started out with. Maybe he didn't know how to move different after fame. But here's the truth. Once you reach a certain point in life, or even just grow a bit older, you can't bring everyone with you. That's something a lot of young men never learn until it's too late. And everything we've looked at today, this is just a slice of what's really going on. From Greece to Spain, the pattern repeats. Hopefully this gave you some insight. As always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.